We're live.
We're live. Hi, everybody. Now,
Hi.
sound off in the chat. Who did we scare?
By
Whether
just
they are.
being live.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, ready?
I am ready
Unsupervised episode,
with
part
no
2,
music.
with no music. No music tonight, people. You'll
It
have
only
to
took like
imagine it.
3 seasons for him to let us do another unsupervised.
Yes.
I think it was only like 1.5 seasons, but
I know, but yeah, it was episode 217 was the last one I had saved. That doesn't mean it's the last one I did this way, but
oh,
it's 100
no.
episodes ago. But yeah, our unsupervised was in the studio, actually, so.
I think it was season 4 also. Might have been 5. Okay. So
They're excited for unsupervised.
Okay. So should we count down and then start the actual episode with no music?
I don't even know if we need to count down.
Okay. Should I say quiet on the set?
Yes. Go when ready. I can count down if you would like.
It's okay. You're listening to Once, episode 320, One Little Tear.
I almost sang. That was great. I can't speak until I go through the song in my head.
I know, me too. Welcome back to Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time. What?
I need someone to say I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
I'm Daniel J. Lewis.
Wait.
I mean, I'll say that if that helps you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm sorry. I've just made you do the welcome again, though, I think.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
Welcome back to... This is going great.
Yep.
Welcome back to Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
I'm Erin.
And Daniel is unable to join us tonight, but would appreciate your prayers and positive vibes and whatever else you may decide to say about that. I asked him, do I need to say positive vibes?
I would send positive vibes.
Okay.
And love.
Yes.
What else?
Why is routine so hard? I want to start over.
We can start over.
Hi, everybody. This is great, right? And I don't know if we're going to put this particular episode on YouTube or not, but just in case, if you haven't figured it out by now, for YouTube, this is our like raw, unedited version. So it's kind of fun. But if you want the polished, like we got it together version, just subscribe
on
to
your
the podcast
app.
Right.
So tonight we're going to be discussing the latest episode of Once Upon a Time in Seattle. Right. One Little Tear. And it was in Seattle. Daniel had hypothesized that it might not be in Seattle this episode.
He hypothesized that it might not be?
He thought that we weren't going to see Seattle at all in this episode. He thought we might be in San Diego, but maybe that'll be next week.
Right. I was thinking. Or
sorry, San Francisco?
Yes, San Francisco.
Oops.
Yeah. Yep.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking that this episode, possibly we were not going to see Hyperion Heights at all. But I still think that might happen next week.
It could happen next week, but then that's leaving us with quite a cliffhanger for the winter hiatus. If we don't see Hyperion Heights at all.
Yeah, I think if they do a San Francisco centric episode next week, or maybe I should say a Henry Ronnie mother-son road trip episode next week, it they would probably intersperse it or at least end with Hyperion Heights.
It's interesting because I'm pretty sure the second last episode of season 1 ended with Henry eating the poison apple tart thing and passing out, much like this is the second last episode of this half of the season, ending with Lucy passing out, which I don't really understand because she wasn't poisoned and all they did was steal her belief. In theory, she should still be able to be alive.
Right. Yeah. So it's odd because I feel very happy that this story is so much more compelling than I expected for the spin-off season. However, I can't decide if I have loosened up because it's a new story or if they are getting better at sidestepping the fact that they haven't sort of woven some of the magical elements together very well.
Yeah, at one point I had thought, well, I wish that Jafar from Once Wonderland knew it was this easy to wake the dead.
Well, she was only mostly dead still.
Yeah, she was only partly dead. And then that's what I remembered on the rewatch. I caught a lot of things on the rewatch for this episode. So
yeah, so and of course, for those who might be newer listening, we're doing sort of a theme-based discussion. So we're going to jump all over the place and just kind of follow the threads of thought. Threads of thought. I think I might trademark that.
But a good place to start for this episode would be the past, since there's kind of only one theme in the past, being the story that we saw, the Rapunzel storyline.
Yeah, this is all about Rapunzel. All about Rapunzel. / Victoria / the fugitive / the free woman who needs a manicure.
She does need a manicure. I totally noticed that when they zoomed in on her.
Really?
On her hand, yes.
I was busy looking at like the scars on her wrist, but yeah, okay, maybe the manicure.
No. Like it in the very end of the episode, they zoomed in on her hand, like with the teardrop, and I was like, "She's got chipped nails, yo!" Like,
that's awesome.
What's up with that?
Wow, they picked that to be consistent about. Like, look, she said she needs a manicure. We better give her chipped nails. She just got out of prison.
I like how woven the storyline is. Like, it works really well, them showing this particular part of the Rapunzel background, because it gave us information about the Guardian, and it gave us information about Lady Gothel or Mother Gothel or that girl. Eloise Gardner.
The woman formerly known as the Bat in the Belfry.
It kind of like it did it to you. Like, it seemed like it answered a lot of the questions that we had. Like, what happened to Anastasia? How did Drizella become this bitter?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it tied up everything, I think.
Yeah, and like you said, I got a lot more on the rewatch. There was way more packed in there than I even realized the first time, especially because I was trying to think about it critically, and I was picking up on things that they were there, but they hadn't sunk in yet.
Even her comment, "It's rare to find a flower that grows against the weeds of human nature," is very like foreshadowing of the end and what we discovered in the end of this storyline, that she was actually looking for a hero pure of heart, the Guardian.
Right.
All right.
See
you guys next week. No,
we all done. Now, I have one little quibble, as I often do. I'm going to get it out of the way right now.
Blood magic?
No, surprisingly. However, I do feel that blood magic must have been blank template blood magic, because she had designed it presumably to trap somebody of Rapunzel's bloodline, but then she herself was trapped in there and later had to leave a child from her bloodline there to get out. So it's like she put blood magic on it, but because she got put in the tower, the blood magic adapted to her blood?
Maybe the blood magic was in the little vines that wrapped around your wrist. And that's how they got the blood for the blood magic. And so they didn't actually have the blood magic until the little vines
I
got her.
actually kind of like that idea, even though the vines were kind of skin rippy even before there was blood magic involved.
Right.
Which I didn't catch that the first time. Maybe I was cooking dinner or something. But Victoria still has the scars
But does
from the
Gothel
vine.
also have the scars?
Well, she wears a lot of robes. So I'm going to
True.
say no. um, so yeah, there's just so much to the story. I loved it. Except for my quibble. My real quibble was that I think they could have used the same actress who is playing Victoria now to play Rapunzel / young Victoria.
I think they could have. And I think that that would help out one of my quibbles from the end of the episode where Anastasia just knew that that was her mother, even though she looks nothing like the Rapunzel actress.
Yeah. And I guess it's partially because it's not like she's ancient. and they've had Lana Parrilla, for example, play a very young, like 16-year-old Regina. And it worked. So I don't know, maybe they just, for one reason or another, thought that it wouldn't work. But I almost feel like they cast a young Rapunzel simply because they wanted to keep us from knowing. Like we've seen Rapunzel, or at least Gothel pretending to be Rapunzel in the past. And if she had aged like a normal person, you know what I mean? like if we were literally just seeing someone like 2 or 3 decades ago, we would figure it out most likely. It's very rare for someone to change so much that we just wouldn't recognize them. So they kind of kept the secret through casting more than through anything else.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, I've had quibbles with when they decide to use the young actors and when they decide not to. It doesn't always seem consistent to me.
Right.
And they've even had Emma, who's likely the same age as Ella. Like Emma, when we know her as a grown up, as Jennifer Morrison, she's the same age as Jacinda, and we've seen her play, herself at 17. So there just doesn't seem to be a reason why they needed to recast.
Right.
Her.
Aside from that, I do think the story is very clever. And even the order that they're telling it in, kind of seeing the wrecked tower first one week, and then kind of going back and getting a little more history of what's happened in the tower. They're kind of telling the story in reverse order. And there's still even more to Rapunzel that we don't know, because Victoria speaks very familiarly, and we can kind of get to that later, but with Rumpelstiltskin, like she knows so much from multiple realms.
Yeah, she did know a lot about him. I felt like the backstory gave us that, that like sympathetic side that we then get for the villain. Like, oh, this is what she went through. Of course she's going to feel this way and want to like take her revenge or get her daughter back or whatever. And there's that, and that's there for her. And also, she didn't really have it like I'm talking prior to Anastasia's death. She didn't really have it that bad. Like, I get that she wasn't getting to be with her husband, but she was still with her children. And kids at that age, like Drizella's age, sometimes don't like their parents anyway, regardless of what the circumstances are. So I just feel like she was really not justified in poisoning Cecilia to get her away. And by all accounts, it seemed like Cecilia was very loving and welcoming and like like took her in when she did come back, took Rapunzel in and welcomed her as kind of part of the family. And just that part, it's kind of like, really, like that's what made you turn, is you poisoned her because your daughter liked her better than you. Oh,
Just in case you're wondering.
I didn't hear anything you just said.
Whoa, you came back. Hi.
Did you just miss my whole rant?
Yeah.
Oh,
Was
what
it super
part?
good?
No.
Do you want to just fill me in and we can go on because you recorded it?
Sure. I was just saying I felt sympathy for Lady Tremaine, and at the same time, I don't think that what she was going through justified her poisoning Cecilia, because she still had access to her children and they were still with her.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, she just
yeah.
got mad. It's kind of Drizella's fault.
Yeah, said tween being a tween.
Yeah, I mean, clearly there was something wrong in Rapunzel. Like, I don't know. I have conflict over Rapunzel's character really because she's like so good, and then she gets angry over
A
a
birthday
daughter
present.
that never really knew her, and she goes all dark.
Yeah.
But I
Well, and
guess
I think I would guess that Drizella was around 4 when she disappeared, just based on her comment. In present day, Rumpelstiltskin said, "Did you enjoy your conversation with your daughter?" And she goes, "Not since she was about 4." So
oh, that's a good
I
point.
was just thinking of that. And then
It seemed so over snarky before, but now I understand. Good point.
and then she was gone for 6 years. So that's a long time. Like when you're 4, you're not going to remember your mom at all. So of course
Yeah.
she's going to want to be more with the mom that has raised her, Cecilia.
The weird thing is it kind of makes Drizella, like what we've seen of the story, makes Drizella seem a little more like a psychopath because she shut her mother out. She's like,
That's true.
like Anastasia's like, oh, it's okay that you're out of tea. We're here for your company. And Drizella's like, no, but really, the tea. I wanted tea.
Well, and Drizella also seemed very close to Ella. It's very
Yeah,
confusing that they both have Ella in their name.
it
Drizella.
is. Because Ella is a way better nickname for Drizella than Drizzy. Which, by the way, they said Drizzy in the episode. Have they said that before?
I don't think so. If you've seen it before, it's probably because that's how I write. I write everybody's
Right.
name in short form with an I at the end.
Yeah, I knew you had called her Drizzy, but
Yeah.
they said it in the show. It was
I
great.
also call Regina Reggie.
I forgot. I used to. That's funny. Reggie, and now she's Ronnie, sort of.
Yep. Reggie and Ronnie. Now it's just confusing, but
Yes.
I, I think the lanterns, going back a bit, the lanterns that they were releasing, I think that's from Tangled, the movie, the Disney movie.
I was trying to remember. I've only seen that once, and it was a long time ago. But I do think that was in that movie.
And I think the sun, like it had something to do with like the sun that was on the side of the lanterns was her parents' kingdom's like logo or whatever.
From their branding program.
Yes. I do like that so they did like deviate from Tangled a bit or a lot.
A lot.
But I'm just talking about even like the escape from the tower. So she escaped kind of in the traditional way using her hair, but I like that she escaped herself using her hair, because this
Yeah.
show always seems to has like, wow, that was incorrect grammar. The show always seems to have retellings of fairy tales that kind of make the women less helpless and having to be saved by the prince. So I think the
Yeah.
original Rumpelstiltskin, or I think
Rapunzel Stiltskin. Is that a new ship?
should be. The original Rapunzel was that she threw her hair down for the prince to climb up and save her somehow.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess what this has in common with the fairy tale is absolutely no explanation for the length of her hair.
Well, I think that if Daniel were here, he would have counted the tick marks and told us how long she had been in prison.
But they said it was 6 years, so I didn't feel it necessary to count the tick marks.
Yeah, so maybe just because it's magic.
Well, but that tower was more. Doesn't hair grow at like an inch a month?
Yeah, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah. So she would have maybe 6 feet of hair. If it was a 6 foot drop, that girl should have been out of that tower a long time ago.
But I mean, Gothel makes things grow, and I think ultimately Gothel wanted her out of the tower. So
Ew.
maybe
But
it was
she
magic.
and she had no one to talk to, so she mercifully didn't have a line where she just went, it's a good thing my hair has grown freakishly fast because now I can climb down. Never thought of it till I saw the lanterns, but you know.
Oh man.
I mean, I'll bet she could have, she could have been out a year ago
At least.
because that was
Yeah.
just like another foot. Or... I have no idea. I'm wondering if there will be, because there are still some missing pieces. We still don't know how the tower was destroyed, although that was more during Alice's stay in the tower. So I don't know.
Right.
We might not get any more. I don't know if we need any more Rapunzel backstory, but there might be something there.
Well, maybe just her not getting enough hugs as a child and then not
Rapunzel or Gisela?
not giving Drizella enough hugs
Oh,
as a
gotcha.
child.
Right. It's hard to hug somebody from miles away.
That's true.
I think she wanted to hug Drizella. That's the weird thing.
Like in that moment.
I think just in general, she was trying. She gave her a birthday present. She was there for her birthday party. And Drizella was just like, no.
Well, and the only time Drizella went anywhere near her was when Anastasia was drowning.
Right.
And P.S., first of all, no offense, Anastasia. If your sister's walking out on the ice and you see that it's breaking, maybe don't join her because that just adds weight to the ice.
Use your voice.
And then, second of all, I'm pretty sure that any father would have jumped back in to go look for the other daughter, even if it meant dying himself.
Right. He's just sitting there sort of relieved,
Seriously.
like, I can only grab one. You need to calm down. Like,
It's like, that is the worst, like, the worst ever. I don't even know. That's the
yeah.
worst explanation ever of, well, I mean, it makes sense now why she resents Ella, but
Right. However, as I predicted, the after what I did line was way overwritten.
that's true, especially considering she wasn't like 5 years old when that happened. She was a teenager who would have like had the ability to comprehend that it was an accident.
Right. They, the way they set that up, you think that somehow Cinderella made some terrible mistake.
And all she
But
did was go try to save a hat from the ice. Did I lose you again? Hello? Oh, man. Oh, it's Jeremy who left. I thought it was my connection. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What the heck?
I don't know. What'd you
That was
do?
weird. No, I thought you were gone and I was just babbling until you came back. And then I saw they said in the chat that they could still hear you. I was like, oh, it's
I
me
thought
somehow.
I thought I was gone too, but then I looked in the hangout and it said Jeremy left the chat.
Oh, well, I'm back now. And then even when I could hear you, it said I was muted. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll unmute myself. I don't know. Okay. Oh, where did we leave off? What's the last thing I said that we heard?
We were talking about Once Upon a Time.
Good. I was trying to figure out. All right, let's pause for a second for John.
Wait, pause our recording.
Nope, pause ourselves.
Okay, I was like, we can't do that. Daniel said.
Right. Daniel said John needs just like a second or two of silence if he's going to make an edit.
Okay.
So, why does this scene on the ice seem so familiar to me?
A lot of things from this episode reminded me of Frozen, to be totally honest.
There was Frozen. The garden, I'm pretty sure, was supposed to make us think of Into the Woods.
Which I haven't seen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Lady Gothel was just representing the witch, which that's her only name in Into the Woods. And there's a whole thing about a garden and stealing from her garden.
Huh.
I'm not super familiar with it, but yeah.
That is Disney though, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. Question mark. I believe they were the ones who made it into a movie. But the movie was very, very faithful to the play itself, as I understand it. I wasn't a huge fan, to be honest, but that scene was definitely the witch goes on and on about her garden.
Okay.
And stealing from it is cause for some sort of spell, curse, whatever.
I thought of Frozen because they're playing with a snowman.
Mm-hmm.
It's wintertime. And also because then when Anastasia died, they like rushed her to the garden. It just reminded me of rushing her to the trolls. The only other movie I can think of that has a scene where anybody falls in the ice, I think, is Little Women.
Okay, that's the conclusion I had been coming to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's got to be it.
Doesn't like Amy fall in the ice or something? And
In a
then her
while.
sister saves her. I don't know.
Yeah. But it was very similar, including, if I remember correctly, the inexplicable like quiet of it. Maybe she was calling after her. I'm not sure, but in this, it was almost like they didn't want to interrupt mommy and daddy's tender moment or something. Like, why are you being so quiet? Yell! There's danger.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody is saying Rapunzel was Into the Woods. I don't know if they mean the actress was in Into the Woods as the baker's sister. Someone in chat is saying.
I don't remember that enough.
Or just Rapunzel, the character? Oh, the character Rapunzel was in Into the Woods.
That is probably accurate. I just can't remember which part.
I think I watched like 5 minutes of that and turned it off. So
it's a very strange mashup of of fairy tales. So go ahead.
And when they rushed Anastasia to the forest, to the garden, they we discovered that Lady Gothel, Mother Gothel. Okay, I'm going to say that whole part again.
Okay, quiet on the set.
And when they rushed Anastasia to the garden, or when Rapunzel rushed her to the garden, it kind of showed us Gothel's cards as well. She's also looking for the guardian for some reason. Because she's saying that she has long sought after a hero pure of heart, the guardian.
Right.
Someone incorruptible by evil.
So is she trying to create a guardian, find a guardian, or pass the torch of guardian?
She said sought after, so seeking, so finding.
Right?
Not that we can necessarily take every word in this show as literal.
Right.
Lousy with weapons. Um,
What?
I thought you would get that.
Is that the line that started our whole long exploration of the word lousy back in the
Yes.
day? Okay.
Yes. Um,
If Once Upon a Time has taught me nothing else, it's the original use of the word lousy.
so what's she looking for a guardian for?
Maybe to just take her general evilness
Away
No.
from her?
Yeah.
Like, is she the dark one of this world? Is that a thing?
It almost feels like that.
It's very confusing.
I'm trying to figure out what the end game was if she was putting Anastasia in the tower, but lifeless.
Yeah, that's something I didn't really think of because she said maybe someone else in your bloodline. Like, does it have to be someone else in her bloodline? Is she referring to Anastasia being pure of heart, but she hasn't been tempted yet?
Think she was, but I don't know. Yeah, but laying there just preserved. I don't know what purpose that would serve.
Yeah, I don't. So here's the thing. If you're incorruptible by evil, evil has had to have tried to corrupt you. Like there has to be temptation for you to be pure. Yes, that's what she was saying. She said somebody that
Yeah,
couldn't
the
resist the
way,
temptation to harm an innocent.
or at least that's her basic test to find a true once upon a time superlative.
So that to me means that Anastasia cannot be the guardian and neither can Lucy. Which is like, as we ended this episode, that's what I was left with. I was left with, so is Lucy the guardian or is Anastasia the guardian?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, no, that's a good point because I was thinking, oh, maybe that means that Anastasia is the guardian. But that's
Or does
not
she just have the greatest
necessarily.
potential for not
Oh,
harming an
goodness
innocent?
sake. Right. She has the lowest potential for darkness. Blood magic.
Squidding.
Oh my goodness, I knew it. Oh.
So, yeah. Do you know who does have the greatest?
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, go ahead.
That's hilarious. Let's see. Okay. But you know who doesn't have the greatest potential for darkness and does have the greatest potential for awesome? Our wonderful heroes. This podcast is supported by our wonderful heroes. And for this episode, we'd like to thank Lisa Slack, Lisa R., Heather Peckfelder, Jill Sherrod, and our 22 heroes on Patreon. We couldn't host this podcast without your help, so thank you very much. And if you'd like to become a hero to our podcast, please visit oncepodcast.com/hero.
And we promise there will be no temptation for darkness.
We do promise that we will not put any there. Now, if some villain wanders to our hero page and kind of gets in your way, I'm just saying we're not responsible for that. But if you make it all the way through and become a hero, then you pass the test.
And please don't lose your belief because heroes always find a way.
Right.
Lucy really disappointed me in this episode.
Lucy disappointed. That's mean.
Come on.
She was being hardcore manipulated by an evil grandmother.
Who she knows is an evil grandmother.
True, but so this was this was super clever. She
It
gave her
was.
enough of the truth to get her on the line and then turned it. So it wasn't about keeping Lucy from believing in the truth. It was about causing her to lose faith and lose her belief in happy endings, to lose hope.
Do you know what I thought might have happened at the end? And I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't. I thought that we were going to have that whole montage scene where it's like Lucy crying and then her putting the tear on Anastasia's forehead. And then what I thought was going to happen was nothing, because I thought Lucy didn't really lose her belief. Lucy is better than that. She didn't fall for this. She's the daughter of the heart of the truest believer. Come on.
Well, it's almost one of those things. It's like the connection between waking Anastasia and loss of belief is shaky at best, because they haven't really established it in a way that makes sense. It doesn't, unlike True Love's Kiss, it's not rooted in a multitude of stories. So it's a little weird anyway. Then the loss of belief seems to have been able to be captured in one, may I add, very voluminous tear. I mean, that eyedropper was just pulling up all kinds of water. I don't think that all came out of Lucy's eye, but that's okay. Got the point across. Maybe the book multiplied it, but I don't know why. You could almost say that it's like it was a tear shed in a moment of a loss of belief. Had Lucy been able to remain conscious, she might have snapped out of it.
Yes. I was thinking she was going to go back home and be like, I saw you kissing him and he's not my father, and or whatever. And then Jacinda was going to have a chance to explain, like, no, but then I saw the mixtape and everything's better again. And I love Henry. Who knows? Like, maybe Lucy just had to momentarily lose consciousness because she's overwhelmed. Because there's no reason that I can think of that Lucy has to die or be put in a coma.
Right.
Unless it's just a life for a life.
Based on our expertise of Once Upon a Time magical principles, would you concur that this was an exchange?
Oh.
An exchange of states?
Right.
So Anastasia wakes up and now Lucy is in a coma with her last breath.
I guess so. Because even Gothel did say something about, did you ask the cost of what Victoria's trying to do?
Right.
She said that to Rumpelstiltskin.
I love how complicated the character interactions are. It's like Gothel's helping Rumple, but kind of probably because she just, for some reason, doesn't want Victoria to succeed. But it also feels a little bit like genuine help. And yet Victoria believes that Rumple would fear Gothel being on the loose. And they all know all kinds of stuff about each other.
Well, but they're both looking for the Guardian. Right?
That is true. That is true.
There were some things, there were some things in this episode that like I said, I didn't pick up until second watch.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, one of those things is when Hook was interviewing Sabine about the dagger, Sabine said that Detective Weaver kept shoving it in her hand, asking her if she felt anything.
Which I love that they just decided to just sort of tell us about that secondhand instead of.
Well, but I was like, I totally missed that on the first watch. And then I was like, why? Why would he be doing that? Is he doing that because the Guardian would somehow sense the magic of the dagger? And so he's trying to figure out who the Guardian is by like handing it around to people? Like, I have no context for where that comment came from or what it might mean.
The other thing I love about that is that I don't care how old these people are supposed to be or how much magical experience they have. They too often make these characters just instantly understand a new concept, like what the Guardian how that whole thing will look, how it will go down. I think it's great for him to just go shove the dagger in people's hands. Like, maybe this is how it works. It's all I've got to go on. So I'm going to make people hold the dagger and see if they just somehow become imbued with its guardianship. Or at least feel something to the point where he gets an idea who the Guardian is. He doesn't really know what he's doing. That's what I love, I think.
But wait, maybe that's okay. I just thought of this while you're talking, but maybe okay. So
Instead of listening,
I was listening and thinking at the same time. I think I sent you guys a message saying I get my best theories while I'm listening to our podcast after we've done it.
True.
Okay, so if the Guardian is this person who does not give in to the temptation to harm an innocent and is, quote, incorruptible by evil, that is probably why they can get rid of the curse of the Dark One, because they could probably take the Dark One curse, but they're incorruptible by evil. So the evil can't corrupt them. And so they can, the darkness in them, uncorrupted. I just said corrupted a lot in one sentence.
I think it was warranted. Yeah. Yeah, that it does make sense as to why they're looking for all these superlatives again. Purest of heart, whatever. They never find it. That's the interesting thing, is that they never find someone who's all one thing.
Maybe that's the message of the show.
If
We are both.
If they wanted it to be, they should stay away from some of the mechanics, but they might be correcting that this year. Maybe.
I did like the comment that the dagger looked like something out of a Tim Burton movie.
I know the pop culture references. It's like they've been bottling it up for 6 years because it wouldn't make sense for the characters they were writing for to make them. And now they're just like, all right, we've got like 5 references to make each episode at least.
Yep. Orange is the New Black, TED Talk, and Tim Burton.
I love it.
I loved that. I didn't ask for a TED Talk. Oh, man. I don't really think I have. Oh, I didn't even write anything under. I don't have a lot more to say, I don't think. Did I lose you, or are you thinking? Oh, that. Wait, Jeremy. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I was like, I don't think I have much more to say. Did I lose you, or are you thinking if you have something more to say?
That's. I wonder if it auto mutes, because when I came back to the window, as you came back on, my mute came on for a second, then went away.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
You can't interrupt if we were still recording.
Maybe. Unsupervised episode. Okay, no. Did you hear what I said about Anastasia?
No.
Okay. That's weird. It seems like we drop between thoughts somehow. So I don't know. Maybe we just need to not have any silence.
Okay.
Okay.
That was silence.
So, right. So Anastasia's awake. I'm assuming she's awake. Like, she knows who her mother is. She was kind of mostly dead, so she probably doesn't have a set of twisted memories, I'm assuming. So is this realm going to freak her out?
Maybe she does have twisted memories, and that's how she knew that Victoria was her mother, even though she looks like 20 years older and
right,
not the same person at all.
See, I assume, yeah, and that's where I assume that we're just supposed to not think about that. But they did, like, yeah, the woman playing Rapunzel, like young Rapunzel, just unlike some of their other casting decisions, she's great, but she doesn't look anything like who we know as Victoria. To
Yeah.
me, maybe I'm missing something. But it also makes Victoria's haircut kind of fun because it's a little on the shorter side, which is, classic Rapunzel cut her hair.
Well, but that was very tangled, and that's very much how a lot of the feedback came in that she was Rapunzel in the first place was because of how she was having her hair.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, there could be more to that backstory, I guess. Like, she could have magical hair. It does seem like they have magic in their bodies. Well,
Want to say that
Anastasia
again?
does.
What?
It does seem like the family possesses magic.
Yes.
So maybe her hair is magic, and somehow she passed that on to
Her hair is magic.
Drizzy and Anna. Or Anna. Did you notice that they said Anastasia's name really like inconsistently and kind of stupid throughout the episode?
Yeah, okay. I thought about asking you if Victoria has ever said Anastasia before.
Anastasia? I don't
Yeah,
know.
like she's talked about her a lot, but I'd have to go back now because it stood out to me and I just don't remember her saying it that way in any other episode.
I honestly,
Oh dear.
I do not recall if she's even said Anastasia. Like I know Drizella has said it and she said it pretty consistently. But then even Rumple, I thought switched back and forth. Like, is it Anastasia or Anastasia? And is it Anastasia or Anastasia? Like, I get that accents make you pronounce things differently, but
Yeah.
I pretty much say Anastasia every time I say Anastasia, unless I'm impersonating somebody else.
Right. Yeah. With our we'll say accent, it's Anastasia.
Okay. Good.
That's how Drizzy says it, yeah.
Anastasia.
Yeah.
She might say Anastasia, but I think she just says Anastasia the same as us.
Which is great because she's actually Australian.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So here's something I noticed. I don't believe Cecilia had an accent. Marcus did not have an accent. So how does Ella have an
Oh,
accent?
that's super funny.
Because she has a very like beautiful, but very
Very thick
thick
accent.
accent. And I believe she had it in the past too. I've never noticed her not having it.
No, she definitely did.
And she didn't
That
say enough
is
as a child in this episode. I guess
that
they could
is
have
funny.
originally she could have been raised in a different part of the world, a different part of the new enchanted forest. Yeah.
Right.
That kind of continuity stuff drives me nuts. But just random fact for all of you listeners, if you move to a new country before you are, I think it's 13 or 12, you will lose your accent from your other country. And if you move after you're 13, you keep your accent. So that could be an explanation. I don't know.
I don't know if there is an explanation.
I think there's just some things that we're not supposed to think about.
I know. And somehow they've got me often not thinking about those things this year. Maybe it's
That's probably because the
because
story's so good.
yeah, nitpicking snowballs. So when I have less to nitpick about, maybe I'm just less nitpicky overall.
Maybe.
To nitpick in a good way, did Lucy, when she walked past the dresses in the window, was that her mother's dress?
I did not know. I noticed that scene, but I didn't know what they were trying to do with it.
Something very poetic about it. Dejected Lucy walking past princess dresses that may have actually come over in the curse at night on a dark, cold city street.
I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm a little disappointed with Lucy tonight. She's no Henry.
Oh, that's rough.
Henry literally ate a poisoned thing that he knew would put him in a curse so strongly.
True.
Lucy faced one adverse situation with somebody who she believes to be evil, and she cried a really big tear about like her mom kissing another guy and then ran away. And ... We don't know.
So rough.
I know. You know what? She is not my favorite character. So,
Oh.
and I mean, the actress is doing a phenomenal job. I'm not like dissing a kid actor. I don't know. Like Lucy herself is annoying in a way that just like puts Henry to shame.
Wow. Like if they were competing for being annoying?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll just you can tweet about that to Aaron J. Cruz.
Yes, send hate to my Twitter.
I'm just kidding. That's funny. But it was, I mean, her collapse was very reminiscent of the Apple turnover, but you're right. It was not quite as sacrificial. I think it would be kind of amazing if Jacinda kissed her on the forehead and she woke up and Anastasia went back to sleep, and then Victoria kissed Anastasia and she woke up and Lucy fell asleep, and they're both just getting chapped lips and saying this is ridiculous, and they have no idea what's going on, especially Jacinda.
Except they're not in like a sleeping curse. They're in like a dead curse. Maybe.
Dead curse. They're in a mostly dead belief transference curse.
But so here's something. If that's Anastasia's last breath, then how is she breathing again?
Please just say it a different way every time you talk about her.
I plan to.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. That's where it starts to break down. It's like, I think this was all sort of based on how pure Anastasia's heart was. And so maybe the lost belief went into the tear, which, considering her heart wasn't really at stake, I don't understand at all.
Maybe it was just an innocent...
I just keep going back to it. I just don't understand. Like, why did it no longer require Lucy's heart? Did they start out that way and then realize, wow, you guys, we can't do that on TV?
Yeah. Have they ever taken a kid's heart out before?
They have, as I recall.
But they put it back in?
Yes.
Wasn't there like a kind of disturbing scene with Bailey Madison getting her heart ripped out?
That's so funny. I can't remember.
But it was like a hallucination. Like it didn't actually happen. It was just like Regina.
Or are you making up head fan fiction right now?
I might be. Violet. Yeah. Violet's heart got taken. Thank you, chat room.
That's right. And they didn't show it to us. We just all went, wow, that's dark. Did they show it?
Oh, Bailey Madison got choked. Okay, so I'm not just
what have we been putting up with all these years?
No, there was like a scene where Regina was like picturing what she was gonna do to Snow White, but then didn't actually do it.
Oh,
that's what I was thinking of. But yes, Violet's heart did get taken.
They did show it. That's there are things that I guess I put out of my brain. But yeah, it's almost like they were going. They start out the season thinking they needed to take Lucy's heart, and then they just decided, maybe let's not do that. Especially since it would just be a matter of either A, the heart's protected, or B, there's no story there. You just grab the heart. And logically, if you get Lucy to give up her belief and then take her heart, how does that help Anastasia? So yeah, maybe they just figured out there were some problems and they pivoted.
Technically, did it not start out with them needing to take Henry's heart? Right. So couldn't they have taken Henry's belief?
I didn't think things had gotten this murky, but now I'm starting to see that they kind of did. We're only 9 episodes in, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And next week is episode 10, and it's the last episode of Once Upon a Time before the winter hiatus of, I believe, unknown duration. Probably coming back in March.
Yeah, generally it comes back like the third-ish week of March, I want to say, maybe the fourth, the last week of March.
Yeah.
That's a long time if we don't have some more answers.
Right.
Like that's a long time for Lucy to be in a sleeping curse.
If
or a
that's what that
dead
is.
curse.
Ooh, this could be really awful. What if she seems to be dead, and so they pronounce her dead, and then they have like a funeral?
Yeah, that would be awful.
It would be very awful. And Henry's off in San Francisco.
Well, they've got cell phones now, so.
Well, I say that like they think Henry's her father, and they don't. But
potentially they could like spend most of the next episode in San Francisco with Ronnie and Henry, and then have it almost ending with like him getting a text being like, oh my goodness, Lucy's in a coma, or like Lucy died, or whatever they think is going to happen. And that could be the end.
right.
You know what? I wouldn't appreciate them leaving us on a cliffhanger like that substantial.
Oh, gee, like the first season winter finale.
The first, but wasn't it on a different schedule then? It wasn't as long of a break.
No, you're right. It was 6 weeks, but still, that was when Graham died.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
I don't
Graham
even...
died, and that's it for 6 weeks.
Well, if I can tell you,
sorry for the trigger, guys.
I'm still having like really angry thoughts towards Shonda Rhimes for how she ended the Grey's Anatomy winter finale. That I didn't know was the winter finale when I watched it. So nothing will surprise me at this point. I'm just so bitter about that like once can't even come close. Challenge accepted, says Adam and Eddie.
It's going to be hard to top Graham. Ash23 in the chat says making distressed noises.
I wasn't listening to the podcast yet then, and so I didn't even know that was the winter finale.
Yep. Back in those days, we were just catching up. We started the podcast a few weeks after the show started. And
I was just watching the show on Sunday night by myself.
Little did you know.
At 6 p.m. local time.
Oh, wow. That's early.
Yeah, we used to get it 2 hours before you guys. This section of the podcast is going to be called Reminiscing.
Reminiscing.
With Aaron and Jeremy.
Yes. You know who else is reminiscing? Rumple and Victoria.
Rumpelstiltskin.
And also Rogers. Except Rogers doesn't know he's reminiscing, and Rumple wouldn't admit it to Victoria at first.
I'm a little disappointed in Rumpelstiltskin.
My goodness.
I'm just disappointed in everybody tonight.
This episode is the list of who Aaron is disappointed in.
Well, he has had 6 seasons. And I finally was like, okay, I maybe think he's a good guy.
Yeah. Oh, I still think he is.
But he could have very easily somehow given Regina a hint. Like him and Belfry basically had the exact same conversation that him and Regina had. Except this time he was like, you've got yourself a deal. Or whatever.
Yes. That was not a reference to Rumpelstiltskin saying yes. Or was it? Yeah, I know what you mean. My thinking, and maybe that was part of the point of the Gothel conversation, is that Rumple made a calculated risk and calculated incorrectly. He didn't understand, or maybe her point was that he was purposely not understanding what the cost of helping Victoria would be.
Well, all magic comes with a price.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to think that he's doing the same thing he's always done. He's trying to be reunited with someone and he's sacrificing a young family member to do it.
I think that by the end, it was pretty clear that he was actually very concerned for Lucy. And
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because he was out searching for her.
so maybe he figured that Victoria would have to pay the price of magic, which would make
Right.
sense
Right.
since she's the one that did the magic and Lucy did nothing except for
Yeah.
cry and give up her belief. Yeah. I do like Hook's little, well, he kind of he was honest with Hook or Rogers,
He was.
like as best as he can be without sounding totally crazy.
But there again, I don't know why they keep talking about him getting back to Belle. Unless they mean giving up his immortality and dying.
But didn't, oh, I thought that he was getting back to Belle somehow.
But she did.
Yeah, but wasn't it gonna like take him back? I don't know.
I
Now
don't
I'm like,
think so.
I forget. So something, I don't even know if I shared this in the podcast. Something that happened in that episode, Beauty. That's what it was called, right? A few episodes
Yes.
ago.
Yes. When about Belle.
Something in that episode made me think that we are going to see Rumpelstiltskin and Belle reunited at that moment when they were on the bridge and he first tried to get rid of the dagger. Like that very first time that he really, really meant it from his heart. I want to be free of this dagger. And Gideon was like 10 and he had run ahead and he dropped it in. I was like, something, I can't remember now what it was in that episode that made me think that that's when he would get to have his life with Belle like restarted when this was all said and done, which is time travel. And
But wasn't their life really cool?
yeah.
If they do that, isn't that a chance for them to just mess it up?
Yeah.
I don't know if we want that.
But I don't know. I don't know why I thought that.
No, yeah, I don't
So
think
he just
so.
wants to die with her. That's the
That's my
goal.
thought because at first when they said he had somebody who loves him waiting for him, I thought they meant Gideon. But then they kept saying her, and now it's very clearly Belle, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I think that I don't know why they're bothering to say it that way because I think that he really maybe they don't want it to sound like a long quest to die, but isn't that what always ends up happening with people who have some kind of evil immortality thrust upon them in a story?
That's true. A long quest to die.
It really is. He's lived, way too long to start with, and then he lived a whole nother lifetime with Belle and then had to watch her die. But I
But
mean
they're
he still has
not
Gideon, so like I don't know.
they're
But
not going to get to grow old together.
no. And so, but they've done some different things with moving on and things like that. And they might be planning something like that. Like he dies, but he moves on to a better place. If I can reference the the Underworld season.
Yeah, maybe. I would have to rewatch. Maybe I'll rewatch the first half of this season once we're on break, but to know why I even thought that. But I don't know. He's, I guess, on the right track then. But
Yeah, at
apparently he
least
can't even die in a world without magic.
right. He still wants to give up the Dark One-ness. So I think that is at least the biggest sign that he's not reverted to his old ways because he would never want to give that up. He kind of gloated that he couldn't be hurt by Victoria, but that's just a means to an end. He's still looking for the Guardian.
And then what about him and Gothel? They seem to have some banter.
Yeah.
like a
And
history of some kind.
yeah, which keeps leaving me confused as to which realm she's really from.
Well, she easily went to Wonderland to get that mushroom. So,
True. Maybe they've all just converged on Wonderland.
well, and we knew that Rumpelstiltskin had been to Wonderland like way, way back in season 1. So we knew that that was an easy realm for him to get to.
But why do they know so much about each other? Are we going to see that story?
Maybe they literally hung out in Wonderland way back in whatever time season 1 was referencing.
But Victoria is really convinced that he would fear her freedom.
Well, Victoria was also really convinced that she was the only person awake during the curse.
Oh, poor Victoria.
She threw me off in this episode. I could not peg her for a lot of it. I was like, is this from the heart or is this fake? Because she's a really good
Yeah.
actress too. Drizella got it, honestly, like through
Right.
genetics.
I really wanted, like, when she was saying all the stuff about testing Jacinda and wanting to give Lucy back, I wanted to believe her, even if that was true, isn't it a little controlling and messed up? Like, oh, I was just testing you. I wanted to see if you would fight for her custody, your daughter. Like that would have, even if that was the thing, it would have been pretty messed up. But it's almost, you could almost say that she didn't do that really. She was just trying to get on their good side, I suppose. But
Well, she really just wanted the doll in the apartment, and then it was her who told her to invite Mark. Mark, is that his name? No.
mm,
What's
mm,
the dad's name?
dang, Nick.
Nick. Nick over.
I just think of him as Catherine, so.
Clear cut Catherine.
Whoa. That's that's an expanded name.
Well, she said we have a clear Catherine. Didn't she say we have a clear
Oh,
cut Catherine
not clear
Nolan?
cut, no.
Or clear
Yeah. Classic.
classic. There we go.
Classic Catherine.
Classic clear cut Catherine. Um, so I think that was just in trying to get some kind of footage for Lucy's disbelief.
Is
Trying to
that okay? I did not, thank you. I did not track with that. I meant to say that earlier. Like, where did the creepy camera come from?
So I didn't get it on the first watch. And then in the like video that she shows Lucy, there's like a little icon of the doll at the top.
Oh.
And then if you rewatch the like kissing scene, the doll is right there in the background.
That's
sitting there.
super creepy and
Oh, yeah.
also improbable. So she plants the doll. She suggests that Jacinda have him check over the paperwork. And she just assumes that they will probably stand within range of the doll's camera and kiss.
Well,
That's a lot to
yeah, that's
to
true.
bank on, and the timing was super tight. That all could have not happened.
It's
So
true.
I'm just saying. That's a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a plot hole, but it's a plot stress point. But it makes up what it lacks in probability, it makes up for in utter creepiness and
Right.
ingenuity.
Oh, because that's still there.
Villainous ingenuity. That's a character trait, apparently.
But it's funny because
It is still there.
what she was saying to Lucy was probably not ingenuine. Like that disingenuine, what's the word?
Disingenuous, we could go with.
Was probably what she said to Lucy was probably not disingenuous. She really does believe that she was a hero that did everything to get her family back. And she really does believe that, it didn't work out for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although she left out the part about the poison mushroom. And there's no way that
She
witch actually
did. Well, did she?
no. Like she told Lucy, but she was like, the witch tricked me and I
Oh,
didn't know what
true.
I was doing. Like you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. And I think unless there's an example proving me wrong. I think I believe her when she said that she couldn't hurt someone like Cecilia. How she knew that it would make her flee, I don't know, because that was never discussed.
Oh, that's true. She had no idea. She could have just been poisoning her.
Right.
Huh.
So I don't know whether I believe her or not, but I kind of do.
Well, that acting, man.
Yeah.
Good actress. And then the heartbroken Drizella at the end, walking away. I don't know. I felt bad for her. I don't know why I feel more bad for Drizella than I do for Lady Tremaine, but I do. At least just in that moment of her seeing her sister being awake and
Oh,
the defeat.
I don't know if I feel bad for her at all. Because now we've seen this childhood that we've only been imagining, and her mother tried to be there for her.
Well, until this point, at least.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I don't. That's why I feel like there might be more because they go from she's really actually jealous of Drizella's relationship with Cecilia to wow, how did I end up stuck with you for a daughter?
Yeah.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I think there's got to be something
Yeah.
more.
So, besides all of the things that happened in this episode, there are a lot of implications for the family tree and also a lot of effects that we've had. Let's say that again. And also a lot of effect on our perspective on things that we've seen in previous episodes. Because we've already heard about Cecilia running away
Yes.
and kind of where she ended up. The connections are super strange.
They are.
So,
It does remind me though of season 1 and 2 of this show that we're podcasting about.
y'all thought it was going to be a Charmed reference, didn't you?
Oh, I already had a Charmed reference, just only Charmed people will know it.
Ooh, sneaky.
It it does remind me of season 1 and 2 where everything came back to Rumpelstiltskin eventually, right? Like everyone was somehow related to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
What's interesting to me here is that Tremaine is Marcus's name. So she's Lady Tremaine because she was married to her husband.
right.
So she was literally, as was previously theorized, Rapunzel Tremaine. And she, before she was Cinderella's stepmother, Cinderella's actual mother was her children's stepmother.
That's true.
So first, Drizella and Anastasia were the stepdaughters, but with their father. Then, by the time Lady Tremaine, in this sense, was Cinderella's stepmother, her father was also her stepfather. So we still don't know who Cinderella's biological father is, and that may not be important. But by the time that's what the family makeup was,
Yeah.
neither of her parents were around, her biological parents. It's so weirdly twisted around.
Well, it is, but also Drizella called Cecilia mother.
Mhm.
So it's almost like, well, because she was very little, I've decided 4. So that makes sense. But that also means that Drizella lost her mother the same way
Yes.
that Ella did.
Yes.
So she has those mommy issues and those abandonment issues.
Right. And if she has
And
any idea that Ella's, well, no, it was her own mother that was, this is getting real confusing.
yeah,
But so Ella doesn't have any idea necessarily
who poisoned?
Right. But
Huh.
she did figure out part of it by talking to Alice.
You'd think that it would just be like, oh, when did she start feeling sick? When she was around dad? Oh, it was right after the birthday party where you were the server of that lavender lemonade. Oh, it was probably you who poisoned her. No, we don't think that logically yet when we're that age.
Right.
Yeah. They've got some explaining to do, even
Yeah.
though this explained a lot this episode.
Right. But a lot of the questions still have to do with the nature of the poison and whether that is in any way related to why Regina feels she can't let the curse be broken. And on it goes.
Yes. And then maybe we find out more in San Francisco.
Do we want to even try to think about the timeline?
Nothing, no. And
'Cause-
nothing in this episode really hurt the timeline for me except for just the aging of Lady
Mhm.
Tremaine.
We know, so we saw the poisoning,
Yeah.
and that would be when Cecilia ran away,
Yeah.
and Marcus went after her for we don't know how long,
A while.
but not too long because then he came back and was reunited with Rapunzel, who has way too many names at this point.
Right.
Even Gothel made fun of it. However, she's referring to herself this week.
Well, she's not a mother, nor is she a nun.
Right. Yeah, Gothel too. She's got some names. We've made up half the names, to be fair.
True.
They aren't canon, but Bat in the Belfry is still my favorite. Yeah, so I don't know. So
This thing with Jeremy leaving the group chat. Jeez, man. It would be great if I had some story to tell you guys about like how bugs got their computer name or something, but I
oh hi.
don't. Oh, hi.
What the heck? Okay, so sometimes it just reloads. I switch over to the tab and it's like, oh yeah, hey, error. Try again in a few minutes and then it reloads. And then I hear you and it's muted. But at least I know now.
The chat room is now pointing out why we just should not talk about the timeline because it doesn't work.
So I honestly lost my train of thought with that one. I'm not sure. But it was recorded on my end. So, I mean, John, if you want to splice that in somewhere, cool.
Okay.
But did you have more about timeline or?
I don't. I think I'm good.
Okay. Let me, since we're kind of in a pausey, not pausey moment, let me take just a moment. I didn't get to sort feedback. I want to skim some of it.
Okay.
Would you skim from the bottom up and see if there's anything like starting, yeah, at the bottom there, and then
Yes.
we'll just take a couple seconds and skim over some of it. Some of it's real lengthy.
I
I'm
have to
gonna be
find
honest.
it. I only got like I remembered that we were going to have to do this and I read whatever ones came into my email, but only like 2 of them came into my email. So,
Oh, let's
oh,
see.
some of them are pretty in blue though. They're not from this episode.
Oh, strange. Why are they
Like
in
this
here?
one, I'm just going to mark it complete. Is that okay? The ones that are about pretty in blue?
Yeah.
Okay, that one's pretty in blue.
What episode was the single tier?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is
I
pretty.
wonder if this got copied from last week, to be honest.
How do I?
One little tier. Hi everybody. We still reading. We still here. Don't know why I'm using that sort of grammar, but you know. Yeah, I nitpicked about that too, but I don't think we need to get into it right now. We're at an hour and a half, so
Okay.
I mean there's gonna be some edited stuff, but faux show. And we actually need to redo the beginning because that was super rough.
Okay. Okay. Do you want me to just do the conclusion part? So this concludes our discussion.
Yeah, if you don't have anything else to say, we need to mention. Well, no, I already talked about last week being the last before the hiatus, so we're good there.
Mm-hmm.
And
we could just like insert a little.
We can just tweet about the little time change, which, let's be honest, this week was 7:30 as well. So we'll just tweet it differently next week, and that'll be fine.
Okay.
Cool. I think that's it.
So this concludes our discussion of this episode of Once Upon a Time, One Little Tear. I don't remember what else Daniel said. Some segue into following us on Twitter.
Do you want to just sing?
Sing what?
I don't know, but this is like the end of one of our unsupervised episodes, so let's take advantage.
This concludes our discussion of this episode.
Have a happy ever after. We're just being unprofessional. Wait, what? No.
If you would like to continue to discuss this episode, you can do so in our forums at oncepodcast.com/forums or underneath the episode blog post at oncepodcast.com/320. Please share this episode by going to that same link and connect with us on Twitter at oncepodcast and also individually on Twitter. I'm Erin J. Cruz. Did we lose Jeremy again? I just did the whole outro and then you didn't say your Twitter name.
I can't say my name without Daniel saying his first.
Is that why you left?
Right? I didn't even leave. It just keeps happening. The computer is taking full advantage of unsupervised episode 2.
Do you want me to like redo that part then? And
yeah, give me 1 second because something's maxing my CPU, and I think that's what is causing me to leave sometimes. I think it's just a lot happening for a 9-year-old computer. It's doing pretty well, but it's kind of like, would you knock it off? All right, let me close a couple things I don't need right now that we needed earlier, but I don't need now. And okay, I think I'm probably going to be here for another good few minutes. Let's go for it.
Okay. So this concludes our discussion of this episode of Once Upon a Time, One Little Tear. If you would like to continue the discussion on this episode, please visit our forums at oncepodcast.com/forums. And please share this episode by going to oncepodcast.com/320 and connect with us on Twitter at oncepodcast or individually on Twitter. I'm Erin and I'm on Twitter at Erin J. Cruz.
And I'm Jeremy Laughlin on Twitter at Phlegon. That's PHLEGON.
You can also follow Daniel on Twitter at the Daniel J. Lewis. Thanks again for
all the privileges.
I have to get to our closing line. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, remember, the next time you want to tail somebody, learn how to do it better first. And thanks for listening. Is that okay? Should we try the other?
No, that was good. That was very good. We just have to imagine the closing music in this space, and then you have to say the other thing unless you want me to say it.
I can say that part because I always say it with Daniel.
Okay, good. Good.
Okay. Sorry, I have to just get back to it though. Once Podcast. Okay. Once Podcast is a proud member of the Noodle.mx network. Find more of our award-winning and award-nominated podcasts to make you think, laugh, and succeed at Noodle.mx. Big thanks to our heroes for supporting this episode. If you would like to be a hero too, please visit oncepodcast.com/hero. And thank you for your support.
Awesome. Awesome. And now I need to think for just a moment about why the beginning seemed so abrupt to me.
Like how we started it?
Yes. Because we said our names. Music happened in our heads, and then it was this is
talked
great.
About Daniel not being there.
Yeah, but I felt like, I don't know. I felt like,
should we say that part again then?
I hate having like a thing that I'm planning to say. I'm so off the cuff that when I try to plan a thing, I just get super robotic and weird. And so that's what I think happened. And so I'm trying to figure out if there was some buffer. Yeah, let's just let's redo the opening, and then we'll figure that out somewhere. Okay. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Okay. You're listening to Once, episode 320, One Little Tear. Welcome back to Once, the unofficial podcast for ABC's TV show Once Upon a Time.
I'm Jeremy Laughlin.
And I'm Erin.
And as you may have noticed in that moment, Daniel is unable to join us tonight, but he would appreciate your prayers and, as he put it, positive vibes.
Good?
I think so.
I feel like I should say something after that, but
because you started the
And in other news, I think Jeremy's going to have a new computer next week, maybe, possibly, hopefully, maybe. Do it, Erin. What am I doing?
Oh, goodness sakes. There we go. Hi. Okay. Yeah, well, Ryan, I think the timeline makes sense. I think it's just a little hard to hash out because they don't
because it
doesn't matter that much. I don't think there's a huge conflict in the timeline.
It matters to us a lot more than it matters to like normal Once Upon a Time watchers.
In the next week, I will probably be thinking a lot about the timeline, like specifically Alice's age and stuff like that.
But she's been to Wonderland and other places. So she could have been in Neverland for a while. No, that doesn't make sense because then she'd be even older than she was.
Right.
Cool.
Yeah, the question is, well, it was so much later that Alice told the story. So how old would she have been at the tea party fighting the Jabberwocky? That's the question.
But Cecilia could have been there for a while. I don't know.
True.
But then someone in chat reminded us that like it was only 1 year before the locket stopped glowing or something. That I had forgotten.
Oh, they did say that?
I don't know.
Wow. They've done a good job at weaving it through the season and making us want to go back and rewatch parts again and try to figure out what they said. And it actually seems to be a cohesive story that they figured out before the season started.
I have not rewatched any season of Once Upon a Time since season 1.
Like after it was over?
After it was over. Other than like that we watch it twice.
Yeah, same. Now that you mention it.
And then the last 2 seasons, or maybe just the last 1 season, I've only watched once because I only did IR. Like I didn't do full discussion. So there was no need for me to watch it again.
Yeah.
So that's why I miss a lot of the details that you guys have. Because I've only watched it like once as a fan and then once to take notes and podcast.
Right.
But I do actually wish I could go back. Like I think I will on hiatus rewatch this.
Yeah.
Season.
It's hard with this show because it's a normal American show with 22 episodes a season. And it's like, whoa. But yeah, this season I would like to just, I think that's a great idea. During the hiatus, I'd like to just rewatch it.
Somebody just suggested the show should be called Once Upon a Time in Wonderland and Other Places. I think that's perfect. And I think that our next unscripted episode should include that.
That's hilarious. Oh my goodness.
All right.
Well, that I think is a wrap.
Yep.
And we need to say goodnight to the chat.
Good night, chat.
And go off live.
Say hello to Anastasia for us.
Anastasia?
Anastasia? There's only so many ways you can say it. Anastasia. That was one that she said today.
Anastasia.
Anastasia.
Yes, thank you all for joining us and putting up with the shenanigans. I think that's all encompassing. Shenanigans of us, shenanigans of my computer. So many shenanigans.
And my silence when Jeremy was gone, because I was like, I wish I had a story like the bug story to share when this was happening, but I don't.
You could have just repeated the bug story, really.
I don't even know if I remember it.
It was something about a computer and there were bugs in it.
And that's where it came from. Cool. Yeah. There you guys go. Well, you want to hear that whole story? You just need to go to oncepodcast.com/heroes and join Patreon because the bloopers are on Patreon from that story. Spoiler alert, it was when I had an actual bug stuck in my computer.
Oh, that's right.
During a podcast.
I knew I'd heard it somewhere, but I was like, why would that be in the podcast?
All right. Thank you, chat and everyone.
Yes. I suppose we'll sign off.
Cool.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Are we able to do that?
We're going to have to just hang out.
Do we?
Yeah, this time we do. It's going to still look like we're broadcasting for a second, everybody. We're not.
Okay.
What better way to end tonight? You hang up first.
No, you hang up first.
No, you hang up first.
But it still will be on until one's podcast hangs up.
I know. So we may just disappear abruptly. This is hilarious.
Well, because if we both hang up, then it's literally just going to be like okay. Is he just like, are you just being very entertained by this then?
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm looking in chat.
We're going to disappear very soon. Or we can go off live, whatever. Good night, everybody.
Good night.